Japan has long been seen as a dream destination, a land of neon skylines, ancient temples, and flawless efficiency. But in 2025, the rules of travel here have changed, and they're shaking up the way millions of visitors experience the country. Did you know that over 25 million tourists are expected this year? And yet, many may face surprises they never prepared for. From new cultural expectations to government crackdowns, Japan is rewriting its tourism playbook. So, what exactly do you need to know before you set foot in Tokyo, Kyoto, or beyond? Stay tuned until the end, because rule number 10 might shock you the most. If you're planning to explore Japan in 2025, your wallet will feel the difference right from the start. Japan has introduced new tourist taxes in major cities and even at popular heritage sites. Kyoto, for example, recently announced an expanded entry fee for access to its most historic districts. This isn't just a small ticket. It's part of a larger effort to limit over-tourism and preserve fragile cultural treasures. Imagine strolling through the lantern-lit alleys of Gion, only to be stopped at a checkpoint where visitors must now pay for entry into designated cultural zones. The Japanese government justifies these fees as a way to balance preservation with rising tourist numbers, and while some travelers may grumble, locals argue it's a fair trade-off. After all, the beauty of Japan lies in its careful balance between modern life and centuries-old tradition. These taxes might sting at first, but they ensure that temples, shrines, and narrow historic streets won't collapse under the weight of unchecked mass tourism. The message is clear. If you want to enjoy Japan's treasures, you must help pay to protect them. One of the most immediate shocks for new visitors in 2025 comes from Japan's famously punctual trains. While they remain marvels of speed and efficiency, new rules are now in place for tourists traveling with oversized luggage. In the past, travelers often squeezed massive suitcases onto Shinkansen bullet trains, frustrating locals who depend on them for daily commutes. Now, reservations for large baggage spaces are mandatory on certain routes, and fines apply if you break the rule. But, beyond luggage, etiquette enforcement is getting tougher. Conductors and station staff are more proactive about asking tourists to quiet down, stop eating in non-designated areas, or even correct seating behavior. For the unprepared visitor, these polite but firm corrections can feel jarring. Yet, this isn't about shaming travelers. It's about preserving the harmony that Japan prides itself on. The train experience here isn't just transportation, it's a cultural ritual where silence, efficiency, and respect intertwine. Ignoring the new standards can leave you with more than an awkward glance. It might mean a fine or even being asked to leave the carriage. If you thought scoring a cheap Airbnb in a Tokyo neighborhood would save you money, think again. In 2025, Japan has tightened its laws on short-term rentals to address both housing shortages and community complaints. Many Airbnbs must now register officially with local governments, display permits, and meet stricter safety standards. For tourists, this means fewer listings, higher prices, and increased checks on whether your stay is even legal. Some districts, like Kyoto's Higashiyama ward, have completely banned short-term rentals in residential zones, citing noise and waste problems caused by visitors. Picture this. You've booked what seems like a charming traditional townhouse online, but upon arrival, neighbors report it to authorities, and your stay gets cancelled. It's happening more often than you'd think. Hotels and licensed ryokans are stepping back into the spotlight as safer choices, while the Japanese government ensures tourists blend respectfully into communities rather than disrupt them. This rule reflects a bigger global trend, but in Japan, the enforcement is meticulous and uncompromising. Social media has fueled Japan's tourism boom, but it has also created new tensions. In 2025, several iconic temples and shrines have imposed outright photography bans. For instance, in Kyoto's Fushimi Inari Shrine and certain sections of Kiyomizudera, snapping endless selfies under sacred torii gates is no longer allowed. The reasoning? Local priests and preservationists argue that constant photography not only disrespects the sanctity of these spaces, but also disrupts the flow of visitors. Imagine climbing the stone steps of a tranquil shrine at sunrise, only to be blocked by dozens of tripods. The spiritual atmosphere vanishes. Japan's decision to restrict cameras isn't about gatekeeping beauty. It's about restoring respect. Tourists must now experience these places with their senses, not just their screens. For travelers, this rule demands a mindset shift. Less posting, more presence. So, if you're coming to Japan with dreams of viral Instagram shots, you may leave with a deeper, more personal memory instead. Japan has always valued harmony, and in 2025, this is being reinforced through official quiet hour regulations. In some neighborhoods, particularly in Kyoto and smaller rural towns, signs and announcements remind tourists that noise after certain hours can now lead to warnings or even fines. This rule isn't just about late-night parties. It includes small things like rolling luggage loudly on cobblestones, speaking too loudly outside guest houses, or blasting music while walking. For locals who have endured sleepless nights due to the tourism boom, these new measures are welcome relief. For visitors, it's a cultural adjustment. You might find yourself consciously lowering your voice in narrow alleyways, or timing your strolls to avoid late-night disturbances. These rules show Japan's commitment to balance, allowing tourism to thrive while ensuring that the everyday life of residents isn't drowned out by the chaos of global visitors. Japan was once famous for being a cash-based society, but in 2025, the country has made a giant leap toward cashless travel. While cash is still accepted, many stores, train stations, and restaurants now prefer or even require electronic payments via IC cards, mobile apps, or credit cards. This shift has surprised older travelers who once stuffed their wallets with yen for every little purchase. Imagine arriving at a small ramen shop, ready to pay with bills, only to be politely told they only accept Suica or PayPay. This isn't just about convenience. It's part of Japan's wider modernization drive ahead of future global events. Tourists who fail to prepare may find themselves scrambling at kiosks to load up electronic cards or download payment apps on the fly. For the tech-savvy, it's smooth sailing, but for the unprepared, it's a crash course in Japan's high-tech daily life. So, for smokers, Japan in 2025 is, well, becoming increasingly restrictive. Once known for its tolerance of smoking areas even in urban centers, Japan has now expanded smoke-free laws across major tourist zones. These days, many public streets, train stations, and even sections of nightlife districts now prohibit smoking entirely, with fines for violators. In places where smoking is still allowed, it's restricted to enclosed, designated smoking rooms. A stark contrast to the open-air freedom some tourists expect. Imagine wandering Tokyo's Shinjuku district at night, neon lights flashing overhead, and realizing there's not a single place outdoors where you can legally light up. These rules really reflect Japan's push for a cleaner, healthier, urban environment, and they line up with a broader global trend towards smoke-free cities. For travelers, it's essential to adapt quickly, because getting caught breaking the rule won't just hurt your wallet. It could also end up tarnishing your trip. To combat overcrowding, Japan has introduced seasonal visitor caps and mandatory reservation systems at certain hotspots. Mount Fuji, for example, now requires climbers to book slots well in advance, limiting daily numbers to preserve the trails and surrounding environment. The same applies to some cherry blossom viewing areas, where entry is only granted with a timed ticket. This rule might feel restrictive, but it really transforms the experience. Imagine standing beneath a canopy of sakura blossoms without being crushed in a sea of selfie sticks. Suddenly, the moment feels magical again. The system is designed not to discourage visitors, but to ensure they savor Japan's seasonal spectacles without overwhelming the landscape or locals. For travelers, it means more planning and less spontaneity, but also a better chance of truly immersing in the moment. In 2025, Japan is doubling down on respect for its cultural symbols. At festivals, temples, and even certain neighborhoods, visitors are encouraged, and sometimes required, to follow dress codes. For example, entering a shrine may now come with stricter rules about removing hats, avoiding overly casual outfits, or respecting modesty. Tourists who rent traditional yukata or kimono are also being asked to wear them correctly, rather than as costumes. Some rental shops even provide guides who explain the proper way to tie an obi sash or behave while dressed in traditional attire. The reasoning behind this is simple. Cultural respect is not optional. What might seem like a fun photo opportunity for a tourist is, in fact, a living tradition for locals. This rule transforms a shallow moment into a chance for genuine connection, but only if you're willing to approach it with humility. Perhaps the most shocking rule of 2025 is the rise of official no-go zones for tourists. Certain areas of Japan, particularly in small towns or crowded residential districts, have now posted signs or implemented policies that outright prohibit visitors. These zones were created after years of complaints about blocked sidewalks, overflowing trash, and disruption of daily life. Imagine traveling to a charming Kyoto backstreet only to find a barrier with a bold sign. Residents only. No tourists. Beyond this point, while this may seem harsh, it reflects a broader reality. Not every part of Japan is meant for global consumption. The government and local councils are drawing lines to protect communities from being overwhelmed, ensuring that tourism remains sustainable and respectful. For visitors, it's a wake-up call. Japan is welcoming, but only if you respect its boundaries. So, there you have it. 10 new rules shaping the way tourists experience Japan in 2025. From stricter transport etiquette to cashless payments, from quiet hours to no-go zones, the message is clear. Japan wants visitors, but it demands respect, planning, and adaptability. For travelers who embrace these changes, the reward is immense. A deeper, more authentic experience of one of the world's most fascinating countries. But for those who resist, the trip may be filled with frustration. What do you think about these new rules? Do they improve travel or make it too restrictive? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video. Subscribe for more travel insights and hit the notification bell so you never miss a journey with us. Because in travel, knowledge is the key to unlocking unforgettable experiences.